What happens when three desperate college freshers walk into a shady bar looking for a gangster to solve their problems? Well, they get exactly what they wish for, just not how they imagined it. Welcome to Aavesham, a film that's equal parts comedy, chaos, and if you look closely enough, a surprisingly dark psychological trip hiding beneath all the laughs. Hey everyone, I'm Antonio Peregrino, and today we're diving into Jithu Madhavan's Aavesham, starring the one and only Fahadh Faasil. Let's break it down. The premise for Aavesham is delightfully simple. Three Malayali college students, Bibi, Aju and Shantan, arrive in Bangalore, full of hope, only to get absolutely brutalized by their seniors during ragging. We're talking 2 or 3 days of relentless beatings. Brutal. So naturally, they do what any reasonable group of freshers would do. They go hunting for a local gangster to fight their battles. And this is when it really kicks off. This is where Ranga comes in, played by, as I said, the one and only Fahadh Faasil. They find him in this bar called Mayuri, and from the moment that happens, nothing is ever quite the same for these boys. Now, here's the thing. This movie is a proper monkey paw situation. The boys get their wish. They find their protector. But Ranga comes with some holdbacks. He is not just a gangster. He is a volatile, emotionally stunted mindchild who latches onto these boys with an intensity that swings between hilarious and genuinely unsettling. Well, that's kind of like the story. Itself is very thin. There isn't anything deeper than this, in the story at least. The central revenge plot lacks real weight, and Ranga's backstory never gets fully fleshed out enough to make us trust and invest in these motivations beyond the surface level. It's a framework, it's kind of like a stage, and it exists primarily to let Fahadh Faasil do its thing. Yes, let me be absolutely clear about something. This is Fahadh Faasil's world. And everyone else, the cast, the audience, and probably the director himself, is just existing in it. This is a complete Fafa show. What makes his performance remarkable in this movie is the comic timing. Even when scenes veer into exaggerated, over-the-top territory, which happens quite a lot in this movie, Fahadh never loses control of the character. He commits fully. Every twitch of the eyebrow, every unhinged laugh, every sudden shift from playful to menacing, it's all meaningfully crafted chaos. But there is some nuance, of course. Ranga is a deliberate deconstruction of a template macho character we've seen 1,000 times in Indian cinema. He's got the swagger, he's got the intimidation factor, the mass entrance moments. But if you strip all that away, you're looking at a deeply insecure and emotionally immature person who uses violence and bravado as a shield. It's a fascinating choice, I have to say, and it elevates what it could have been just a one-note comedy into something that is a little bit more layered. Well, that being said, man, I have to be honest here, the caricaturish antics can start to feel a bit on overdrive and on repeat. After the initial, let's say, 15 minutes of you meeting this person, some viewer might find the mind-child routine a touch monotonous, repetitive. Especially as the second half rolls on without introducing enough dimensions to the character. Now, this is what I found genuinely fascinating about this movie. Beneath the wild comedy and the mass moments, Aavesham has quite a dark psychological undertone that can go completely unnoticed if you're just there for the laughs. Think about it. These boys essentially sell their autonomy to a volatile, unpredictable man in exchange for protection. And then Ranga's behavior, the love bombing, the possessiveness, the sudden rage, mirrors patterns you would recognize from genuinely toxic, manipulative relationships. The film never explicitly frames it in this way, which is precisely what makes it clever in my opinion. It is a dark psychological thriller wearing the costume of an action comedy. Whether the director intended for this to happen or it just happened to be just a happy accident of good character writing, I think it just gives the film a rewatchability factor that a surface level plot alone wouldn't provide. Okay, so let me talk about what doesn't really work. I think the big issue with Aavesham is the pacing. Certain scenes are stretched well beyond their welcome. You can feel the runtime in places where a tighter edit would have made all the difference. The second half particularly loses some momentum, and the humor starts to feel repetitive rather than just continuously escalating, building to something else. The film also leans heavily into the alcohol and drug culture, to the point where I kept noticing that the mandatory disclaimers kept popping up over and over again. It starts to feel like the film is just trying too hard to establish the we're edgy, we're wild credentials, when honestly the characters and situations already do that naturally. And then there is this very weird scene where Ranga brings for the boys. The whole sequence just feels awkward. It felt unnecessary, it didn't serve the plot or the character development in any meaningful way, and honestly, I think it could have been cut entirely from the movie without anyone noticing anything. Anyways, so where does that leave us with Aavesham? I would say that it's undeniably a fun watch. The music is good, there are like these massive reaction moments, and the movie is genuinely thrilling. And as I said, Fahadh Faasil delivers a performance that is magnetic enough to paper over most of the structural cracks in the film. The supporting cast does some solid work, even if they're genuinely or inevitably overshadowed by Fafa. The story is thin, yes, the pacing falters, of course, and there is an initial novelty in Ranga's character that wears off for some viewers. So I would say this, if you're a Fahadh Faasil fan, this is absolutely an essential viewing. You'll have a blast. For everyone else, I would say this movie is entertaining enough. So my recommendation is that you should watch it if you have time. I think it would have been a brilliant cinema experience, but since this review is coming well after the release, just pop it on Netflix or wherever you were able to see it. When you're in the mood for something loud, something colorful, something chaotic. I think you'll enjoy the ride. Just don't expect it to take you anywhere particularly deep. Anyways, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments. Did Ranga's antics work for you, or did they wear you thin? I'd love to hear your take. Until next time.